Emma's hands trembled as she watched her daughter Lily across the crowded restaurant, silently communicating with the handsome stranger at table 7. For 3 years since the accident, Lily hadn't spoken a single word, until tonight, when she looked at this man signing fluently and whispered, "Daddy, he speaks like me." If you're touched by what you've just read, this story might just change how you see the world around you. Hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories that remind us of the unexpected connections that can heal even the deepest wounds. The December snow fell in gentle flurries outside the windows of the Silver Bell, one of Chicago's most exclusive restaurants. Inside, warmth radiated from the crackling fireplace and the soft glow of Christmas lights strung along the ceiling beams. Emma Chen straightened her blazer and glanced at her watch, 6:45 p.m. The company Christmas dinner would begin in 15 minutes, and she was already regretting her decision to bring Lily. "Are you sure you want to be here, sweetheart?" Emma asked, her hands forming the signs as she spoke. 8-year-old Lily nodded, though her eyes betrayed her uncertainty. She clutched her small notebook, her primary means of communication with the hearing world, and looked around at the growing crowd of adults in business attire. Emma felt the familiar pang of guilt. As CEO of Horizon Technologies, she'd spent the past year rebuilding the company after a devastating market crash. The cost had been precious time with her daughter, who needed her more than ever since losing her hearing in the car accident that had also taken her father's life. Emma had hired the best therapists, enrolled Lily in the finest school for deaf children, and learned American Sign Language herself, but nothing seemed to break through the wall Lily had built around herself. The specialists called it selective mutism compounded by the trauma of sudden hearing loss. Emma called it heartbreak. "Ms. Chen. So glad you could make it," called Bernard from marketing, approaching their table with a glass of champagne already in hand. "And who's this little lady?" "This is my daughter, Lily," Emma said, her smile professional but tight. "Lily, this is Mr. Peterson from my work." Lily gave a small wave but kept her eyes down. "Ah, shy one, isn't she?" Bernard said with a chuckle that made Emma wince. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "I didn't realize you'd be bringing family. The board members are all here without their spouses, bit of an unspoken rule for these events." Emma felt heat rise to her cheeks. "My childcare fell through last minute," she lied. The truth was that she'd promised Lily they would spend the evening together, and after breaking too many promises this year, she couldn't bear to break another one. "It won't be a problem." Bernard's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Of course not. Just, keep her occupied, yes? The Westbrook deal might come up in conversation tonight." As he walked away, Emma fought the urge to call the whole evening off. The Westbrook acquisition was crucial, the kind of deal that could secure Horizon's future for years to come. She needed to be present, engaged, and impressive tonight. She looked at Lily, who was carefully arranging her silverware in perfect alignment, and felt torn in two. "Just a couple of hours," Emma signed. "Then we can go home and watch that movie you like." Lily nodded again, her face expressionless. Emma wondered, not for the first time, what thoughts swirled behind those solemn brown eyes. The restaurant continued to fill with Horizon employees and their guests. Emma introduced Lily to a few colleagues who made polite but awkward attempts at interaction before drifting away. She noticed how Lily's shoulders hunched further with each introduction, how her fingers gripped the notebook tighter. "Would you like some juice?" Emma asked, signing the question. Lily nodded and wrote in her notebook, "Apple juice, please." "I'll be right back," Emma promised, standing up. "Just stay here, okay?" At the bar, Emma ordered Lily's juice and a much-needed glass of wine for herself. As she waited, she felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Diane, the head of HR. "Emma, the Westbrooks just arrived. Richard wants to introduce you right away." Emma glanced back at Lily, sitting alone at their table. "I need to bring my daughter her drink first." "I can have a server take it to her," Diane insisted. This is important, Emma. They're only staying for the first hour. With reluctance, Emma handed the apple juice to a passing server with instructions to deliver it to her table. Then she allowed Diane to steer her toward the restaurant entrance, where Richard Westbrook and his wife were removing their winter coats. Just 5 minutes, Emma murmured to herself. Just 5 minutes and then back to Lily. Across the restaurant, Jack Sullivan was trying to enjoy his meal while ignoring the pitying glances from nearby diners. At 42, he was used to the looks that came with being a single father dining alone with his son on a Friday night, especially during the holiday season. His son, Ethan, was engrossed in a book about space exploration, occasionally looking up to sign a question or observation. "Dad, did you know that astronauts grow taller in space?" Ethan signed enthusiastically. "Is that so?" Jack signed back, smiling at his son's endless curiosity. At 10 years old, Ethan had been deaf since birth, but it had never dampened his thirst for knowledge or his vibrant personality. Jack had learned ASL alongside his son, becoming fluent out of necessity and love after his wife left them both when Ethan was just 2 years old. "I can't do this," she'd said, bags already packed. "I didn't sign up for a special needs child." The words still stung 8 years later, though Jack had long since realized they were better off without someone who could abandon her own child. He worked as an architect from home, arranging his schedule around Ethan's needs. It wasn't always easy, but they had built a good life together. Tonight was their monthly, fancy dinner tradition, a celebration of the end of the school semester and the beginning of winter break. As Jack cut into his steak, he noticed a small girl sitting alone at a table nearby. She looked about Ethan's age, with dark hair pulled back in a neat ponytail and a formal dress that seemed at odds with the sadness in her eyes. She was staring at her empty plate, occasionally glancing toward the bar area with a look of resigned patience that no child should have mastered. "Dad," Ethan signed, following his father's gaze. "That girl looks sad." Jack nodded. "She does. I wonder where her parents are." They watched as a server delivered a glass of apple juice to the girl's table. She nodded her thanks but didn't speak. Something about her stillness, the careful way she handled the glass, caught Jack's attention. "I think she might be deaf," he signed to Ethan. "She's not responding to the noise around her." Ethan's eyes widened with interest. "Can I say hello to her?" Jack hesitated. Approaching strangers in restaurants wasn't exactly proper etiquette, but the girl looked so forlorn. "Let's finish our dinner first," he decided. "If she's still alone after that, we can check if she's okay." But Ethan, with the impulsivity of childhood, had already made up his mind. While Jack was signaling for the check, his son slid out of his seat and walked directly to the girl's table. Lily was counting the minutes until she could go home. Her mother had been gone for 20 minutes now, pulled into conversation after conversation with important-looking people in suits. She'd waved to Lily a few times, signaling, "Just a minute more," with her finger, but Lily knew better. At school events, just a minute often turned into the entire evening. She didn't blame her mom. Not really. Ever since Dad died and the world went silent, Mom had to work extra hard. Lily understood that, but understanding didn't make the loneliness any easier to bear. She sipped her apple juice and watched the Christmas lights blink on and off, creating patterns she tried to memorize to pass the time. A movement caught her eye. A boy about her age was walking directly toward her table. Lily tensed. She hated meeting new kids almost as much as meeting new adults. The awkwardness when they realized she couldn't hear them, the slow, exaggerated mouth movements they'd make, thinking it would help her understand. The boy stopped at her table and, to Lily's astonishment, his hands began to move in familiar patterns. "Hi," he signed. "I'm Ethan. Are you deaf too?" Lily stared at him, her juice forgotten. It had been months since she'd seen anyone outside her school sign so naturally. She nodded slowly. "I knew it." Ethan signed, his movements excited. I told my dad you might be. I'm deaf since I was born. What's your name? Lily's hands rose hesitantly. Lily, she signed. Why are you sitting alone? Where's your family? Lily pointed toward the bar area where her mother was now deep in conversation with a group of men in expensive suits. My mom, she signed. She's working. Ethan frowned. At dinner? That's boring. He gestured back to his table. Do you want to come sit with us? My dad knows sign language too. Lily glanced nervously at her mother, who was now laughing at something one of the men had said. She should stay put, Mom had told her to wait here. But the thought of sitting with people who could understand her, really understand her without the notebook or awkward gestures, was too tempting. She slid out of her chair, taking her juice with her, and followed Ethan to his table. Jack was just signing the credit card receipt when he looked up to find his son returning with the girl in tow. He raised his eyebrows in surprise. Ethan, what did you do? He signed quickly. This is Lily, Ethan signed back, grinning. She's deaf too. Her mom is busy working, so I invited her to sit with us. Jack looked at the small girl standing uncertainly beside his son. Up close, he could see the hearing aids partially hidden by her hair. She was watching his hands intently. Hello, Lily, he signed. It's nice to meet you. I'm Jack, Ethan's dad. Lily's face transformed with relief and something like wonder. Her hands moved in response, small and precise. You really know how to sign? Yes, Jack signed, smiling warmly. I learned when Ethan was a baby. Would you like to sit with us for a while? Is that okay with your mom? Lily glanced back at the bar, where her mother was still engaged in conversation. She's busy, she signed, a shadow crossing her face. Important work people. Jack frowned slightly. He didn't want to interfere, but he also couldn't send the child back to sit alone. Well, you're welcome to join us until she's free. We were just about to order dessert. Do you like chocolate cake? Lily nodded, a small smile finally appearing on her face as she climbed into the chair beside Ethan. Jack signaled the waiter and ordered 3 slices of chocolate cake, all while keeping an eye on the bar area, expecting at any moment to see a worried parent searching for their child. As they waited for dessert, Ethan launched into an animated conversation with Lily, his hands flying as he told her about his school, his pet turtle, and the model rocket he was building with his dad. Jack watched in amazement as Lily gradually opened up, her own signing becoming more animated as she responded to Ethan's questions. I go to Westlake School for the Deaf, she signed. I lost my hearing 3 years ago in an accident. Was it scary? Ethan asked. Lily nodded. I miss music the most. And my dad's voice. He died in the same accident. Jack felt his heart constrict at the matter-of-fact way she conveyed such profound loss. I'm very sorry about your dad, he signed gently. Lily shrugged, but her eyes glistened. Mom learned to sign for me. She's really good, but she's busy a lot. My mom left when I was little, Ethan signed. She didn't want to learn sign language. Jack winced at his son's bluntness but didn't interrupt. Children had their own way of connecting through shared pain. That's sad, Lily signed. My mom says my dad would have been so proud of how fast I learned to sign. The desserts arrived, momentarily pausing the conversation as both children dug into their chocolate cake with enthusiasm. Jack took the opportunity to scan the restaurant again, increasingly concerned about the absent parent. The Christmas dinner was in full swing now, with waiters carrying trays of food to the large tables where business people laughed and clinked glasses. Lily, he signed when she looked up from her cake, should we let your mom know where you are? She might be worried. Lily shook her head. She knows I'm good at waiting, she signed, a statement so poignant in its resignation that Jack had to look away for a moment. Well, you're welcome at our table for as long as you like, he signed, making a mental note to approach the bar area himself if no one came looking for Lily in the next few minutes. Emma was trapped in a conversation she couldn't escape. Richard Westbrook had introduced her to his brother, a potential investor, and the discussion had quickly turned technical. She nodded at appropriate intervals while her mind kept returning to Lily, sitting alone at their table. 20 minutes had somehow stretched into nearly an hour. "Excuse me," she finally said during a brief pause. "I need to check on my daughter." "Your daughter?" Richard's brother looked surprised. "You brought a child to a business dinner?" Emma felt her professional smile strain. "Yes, my 8-year-old. She's deaf, so she's quite self-sufficient, but I should still." "Deaf?" Richard's wife interjected with that particular tone of sympathy that always made Emma's skin crawl. "How challenging for you. Was it from birth?" "No, it was." Emma stopped herself. "I really should check on her. If you'll excuse me." She made her way through the crowded restaurant, nodding briefly to colleagues who tried to catch her attention. When she reached their table, her heart dropped. Lily's seat was empty, her coat still hanging on the back of the chair. "Lily?" Emma called out reflexively, scanning the nearby tables. Panic rose in her throat as she looked toward the restrooms, the entrance, the kitchen doors. Where could she have gone? "Miss Chen?" A waiter approached, noting her distress. "Are you looking for the little girl who was sitting here?" "Yes." "Have you seen her?" The waiter nodded. "She went to sit with a man and his son at table 7. They ordered dessert for her." Emma whirled around, locating table 7 across the restaurant. There sat Lily, animated in a way Emma hadn't seen in months, her hands flying in conversation with a boy about her age. Across from them was a man with dark hair and kind eyes, signing fluently as he spoke. Relief flooded through Emma, quickly followed by confusion and a twinge of something else. Jealousy? Guilt? She approached the table slowly, taking in the scene. Lily was smiling, actually smiling, as she signed something to the boy, who laughed in response. "Lily?" Emma said and signed simultaneously when she reached the table. Lily looked up, her smile fading slightly. "Mom," she signed. "This is Ethan and his dad, Jack. They know sign language." Emma turned to the man, who was already standing and extending his hand. "Jack Sullivan," he said, his voice warm and his free hand signing along with his words. "I hope you don't mind that Lily joined us." Ethan was excited to meet another deaf child. Emma shook his hand, momentarily at a loss for words. "Emma Chen. Thank you for looking after her. I got caught up in a work conversation." "No problem at all," Jack signed and spoke. "Lily's been telling us about her school and her art projects. She's quite talented, according to her descriptions." Emma looked at her daughter, surprised. Lily rarely shared details about her life with strangers. "Yes, she is," she agreed, signing as she spoke. "Lily, we should probably head back to our table. The main course will be served soon." Lily's face fell, and she signed rapidly to Ethan. The boy turned to his father with pleading eyes. "Dad, can they eat with us instead? Please." Jack looked at Emma with a slightly embarrassed smile. "Kids," he said. "But you're welcome to join us if you'd like. Unless your work dinner requires you to sit elsewhere." Emma hesitated. The Westbrooks were still at the bar, and the board members would expect her to sit at the main table. This was her chance to secure the deal, to prove herself worthy of the CEO position that some still whispered she'd only received out of sympathy after her husband's death.